It's great to see that over the years, the noir genre has taken many different forms outside of its origins. The formula and aspects that make noir what it is have been stretched and twisted to a point where it can be used in several unlikely ways. What started as a subgenre of crime fiction novels has now been used to tell stories outside of the deeply troubled private detective or loose cannon cop. It's shown up in games, shows, and even traveled as far as the other side of the world, where its influences have inspired several great creators. Welcome back to Nightly Noir, the channel that loves cars, guns, and beautiful women. This episode marks the fourth and final entry in our Noirvember lineup for 2025. I'd like to thank you all for the incredible support I've received from this project. It's been wonderful exploring all of these different projects, each with their own stylistic flair, yet somehow still paying its foundations to classic noir. Tonight's topic is no exception, as this project wears its inspiration on its sleeve. With a mix of crime fiction, bounty hunting, and just the right amount of sex appeal, this is Kenichi Sonoda's Gunsmith Cats.
Jailbreak, illegal weapons. You've been a bad boy, Washington.
You're no cop. Who the hell are you?
The name's Raleigh Vincent, bounty hunter.
Oh.
They call me Minnie May.
There, we're all introduced.
To be honest, I'm pretty late talking about this series. Based on what I've found on YouTube, many creators have talked about this awesome work. It seems it got a bit of a resurgence within the last 5 years or so. However, many people talk about Gunsmith Cats as a cool manga series with a decent but criminally short anime OVA, and not much else. They talk about the characters and the plot, but I believe I may be the only creator on this platform to delve into the details of the series and relate it back to its roots, that being the noir influences as well as the crime fiction genre as a whole. And where better to start discussing this series than by looking at who created it in the first place. Kenichi Sonoda is a well-known Japanese artist who got his start in 1984 working for Artmic, an animation studio based out of Tokyo. One of the first major projects that he had a significant hand in was Bubblegum Crisis in 1987. This series was a dystopian sci-fi action show with cyberpunk flair. There were a bit of noir elements, but not nearly as much as Gunsmith Cats. Bubblegum Crisis features several key details that Sonoda would later capitalize on in his future works, namely creating women who were as kick-ass as they were beautiful. In 1991, Sonoda began his work on Gunsmith Cats, using his personal interests as the basis for the plot and main characters. He originally had wanted to focus on a different series, that being Riding Bean, a series focusing on a driver for hire. He was designed as a mercenary of sorts. However, due to licensing issues after the animation's initial release, Sonoda was no longer able to use the characters and story beats from that production. So instead, he transformed the world of Riding Bean into a new, legally distinct version using many of the same character designs and even names from the original work to make Gunsmith Cats. This includes using the main female character's name, Raleigh Vincent, as the name for his new main protagonist in Gunsmith Cats. He later was able to put his original main character from Riding Bean, Bandit, into the series as well. From what I can tell, there isn't much of a difference between his original version and the one we see in Gunsmith Cats.
A revolver, huh? I'd suggest you bring that in for maintenance soon. Sounds like you've got some loose parts to me.
I do?
The two main characters, Raleigh Vincent and Minnie May Hopkins, are the culmination of most of Sonoda's personal interests and hobbies. This is mainly seen through Raleigh, as she is obsessed with rare firearms and fast cars. She's a top-notch marksman. She loves guns so much, she owns a shop all about them. However, this is not where her major focus lies. Though she is a fairly reputable business owner, her true passion lies in bounty hunting. And she's pretty damn good at it too. Between her encyclopedic knowledge on pretty much any gun, and her ability to use just about any gun, she puts just enough pressure on criminals to be a threat. Since becoming a bounty hunter, she has built up quite a reputation among the criminal underbelly of Chicago. Oh wait, did I forget to mention this series is based in Chicago despite being a Japanese work? Well, yeah, the setting is very much 90s era Chicago. All of the characters fit very well into this style of setting. All of the physical locations look and feel very accurate. Aside from the art style, Gunsmith Cats could be mistaken as a standard animated Western crime fiction series, not unlike other shows like Batman the Animated Series.
Locked. Well, I'll fix that. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Back to the characters, Minnie May Hopkins is a young, bubbly, vibrant girl. Due to a pretty tragic past, May has learned all about explosives and what makes them tick, and, go boom. She's very stubborn, and often butts heads with Raleigh, who is equally as persistent at getting her way. Despite this, she provides essential backup for Raleigh during her bounty hunting antics. This was a role Raleigh had originally not wanted May to fill, believing she was too young to be pulled into such a dangerous line of work. She was originally just going to watch the gun shop, while Raleigh went off to hunt. But, during several incidents, May proved herself, and convinced Raleigh to have her as her full-time partner in hunting down criminals.
I'm not involved with any of this.
To round out the cast, we have Becky Farah, Raleigh's helpful, albeit expensive, informant. She is the key piece to most of Raleigh's success as a bounty hunter. She gets all the important stuff Raleigh needs to know about her next target. Though she isn't as prominent of a character as others, she is still a very important one. With a combination of these characters, along with the setting and crime stories these characters follow, it blends so perfectly together into a good old-fashioned neo-noir. It's both a buddy cop series, as well as a fantastic drama piece. Sounds like all great pieces to have for noir. But what exactly makes Gunsmith Cats feel like a noir? The most it has going for it so far from what I've said is that it's a crime fiction story at its core. However, delving a bit deeper into the series reveals a lot more to this story than meets the eye. I believe the easiest part to tackle first is analyzing Raleigh's character. She is certainly not what I would point to as a definitive noir protagonist at first glance. She's caring and upbeat. However, I believe if we look past the surface, we find that Raleigh is a pretty morally ambiguous woman. Many people may think that Raleigh does her bounty hunting for the good of others in the city, and that is true to an extent. But in reality, her main reason for bounty hunting is for the thrill of it all. She's not really doing these good deeds to help out, that's just a happy side effect. Raleigh bounty hunts for the love of the game. I believe this is mainly due to the fact that this profession, if that's what you want to call it, allows her to do what she loves most: shoot cool guns and drive awesome cars. There is another aspect of her character that leans more on the noir side of things. Later in the series, we're introduced to Misty Brown, a criminal with a knack for lockpicking. She gets caught by Raleigh and is consequently put into jail. Before all of this, however, she convinces Raleigh that she is only doing the things she's doing because of her family, also being involved in crime. She is worried that her lawyer will have her killed due to being involved with her nephew who killed a kingpin to steal a large shipment of cocaine. Raleigh agrees to look into it, and though Misty is in prison for a bit due to previous burglaries, she gets out and she joins forces with Raleigh to help with future bounties. This shows that Raleigh is not above partnering with known criminals to achieve her goals. Definitely not a morally pure take, I'd say. Not to mention, she shows plenty of distrust and cynicism for even the supposed good guys, such as lawyers and cops. Not that this distrust is unwarranted. Just like any other good noir story, there are plenty of corrupt politicians, lawyers, and those in some level of authority. There are only a few examples of leaders actually trying to do the right thing. There are many people that Raleigh once trusted, but has since proven that choice to be unwise. This corruption of authority and leadership heavily blurs the line between what is right and wrong. The law and crime sometimes almost seem one and the same. This isn't even absent in our protagonists. We see Raleigh and May often bend rules and straight up go against the police in order to get their bounty. They aren't above using underhanded tactics and using all of their available resources to get the job done. Sounds a lot like classic private investigators who use every bit of leverage they can against the people they're after. One of the biggest examples of this in the series is the simple fact that Raleigh lies about her age and has a fake ID card. This lie is so she can legally own a firearm business and allow Minnie May to own dangerous explosives. This pervading disregard for rules and the looseness of most characters' actions sell the idea that really anyone in this world could have their hand in the cookie jar, and that is quintessential to noir. Among the many antagonists throughout the series, one of the major ones would certainly fit into an actual proper neo-noir film. Goldie Musso is a descendant of a mafia family based in Italy. That's already a point in the favor of noir, as many classic noir films surround themselves in mafia and gangster activity. What really sets her apart and what makes her fit very nicely into a noir-style role is the simple fact that she is a femme fatale. Goldie is, like many great femme fatales in history, manipulates everyone around her to reach her goals. She even goes so far as to utilize her pharmacological expertise to create a drug that essentially allows her to fully control the person while under its influence. All of these elements are basically textbook femme fatale. As the series progresses, Goldie becomes obsessed with Raleigh, going out of her way on numerous occasions to try to coerce and subjugate Raleigh, just like she does everyone else in her life. An interesting aspect of her character is the fact that she is a lesbian, and many of her behaviors seem to have a sexual undertone to them. It may seem surface level, but it really does add a bit of depth to her character and contextualizes her motivations more than they otherwise would be. I don't think I would be covering this series accurately if I didn't at least mention a specific part that has since become controversial. A large part of why Minnie May is nicknamed Minnie May is because of her petite and youthful appearance. Despite being 17 years old, Minnie May can easily pass for a 10 or 12-year-old. The reason this has become controversial is due to the fact that a major portion of her story is being romantically and sexually involved with a man many years older than her. We're talking like a good 10 years plus older. The man in question, Ken Takizawa, is the one responsible for teaching Minnie May everything she knows about explosives. She was under his care for a good while before having to go underground to avoid the enemies he made while working in the criminal underworld of Chicago. Obviously, this certain part of the series has not aged very well, and is very much a product of its time. However, I am confident in saying that this does not detract from the enjoyment of the series as a whole. The nature of the relationship is even called into question by several characters, so it's not like the author is necessarily condoning the relationship altogether. If I can play devil's advocate for a moment, this aspect of Minnie May's character fits into themes of noir in a kind of weird way. A lot of noir content delves into characters who break societal, social, and of course, legal norms. Minnie May being in this type of relationship only adds to her other traits that make her fit so well into this setting and this story. Besides that, works of fiction are inherently designed to explore these types of themes and stories, not to advocate for one side or the other. I have mentioned earlier that this series received a short 3-episode OVA animation adaptation. The clips you've been watching throughout this video have been from it. I wish I could tell you that this animation does a good job of telling the story of Gunsmith Cats, but sadly, that is not the case. The 3-episode OVA does not follow the original story laid out by Sonoda. It is still a very good, short animated series, just not the story I'm sure many people were expecting. It even adds additional characters that weren't in the original work. The main characters are still portrayed fairly accurately, but due to the short runtime, they don't get to be as fleshed out as the manga. It's still a fun ride, all things considered, despite its alterations that were made for the sake of the project. To close out our discussion on this amazing series, I think it's important to not judge a work based on appearances alone. Much like how people say, don't judge a book by its cover, you can't fully understand other forms of fiction without fully digesting their contents. That's what I would encourage you to do as well, not just with this series, but with all media you decide to consume. We live in an age where media literacy is not really taught or learned, so it's important to be aware of those things going into any media-related project. Well, got a little, real there for a second. Guess I should probably get back to being the, funny noir guy on the internet. That all being said, Gunsmith Cats is a fun, neo-noir romp through the crime-ridden streets of Chicago in a nostalgic 90s anime art style. It's unique, sleek, and fires on all cylinders in terms of its crime fiction and noir origins that it obviously was inspired from.
You gotta be tough to live in this town.
You said it!
If you've had the pleasure of either reading the original manga or watched the OVAs, leave your thoughts on them down in the comments. If you're interested in the series after watching this video, you can actually watch the full OVA episodes here on YouTube. The ones I watched were dubbed in English, and no, I'm not going to argue the age-old war on subs versus dubs. The original manga has been republished in omnibus volumes by Dark Horse Comics. The final volume should be coming out before the end of this year, and I highly recommend checking it out if you can. Well, that's about enough rambling out of me for this episode. As always, thanks for watching, and thanks for all the support during this Noirvember season. This has been Nightly Noir, and have a good night.